everyone, and welcome to Chilling with Purpose, the broadcast that rescues the heart, and the mind. So y'all see how full our panel is tonight. What? We are so excited to, first of all, welcome back, Magdalene. How you doing?
I'm okay. I get
That
the
is
stitches
good.
out tomorrow, Jesus.
All right. And then they'll tell you how well you did.
I hope so. Maybe they'll
Okay.
tell me go eat some chicken.
Well, no, not
Oh.
tomorrow. No. But we are glad to have her back. We are so excited. Look how full our panel is, everyone. This is so great. We are going to be talking about how we see God. And y'all know, I love it when we have audience participation. Not only does it make the show itself fun, but we learn so much from each other. So please interact. See, it says, let's have an interactive discussion on the topic. So we want to do that. So let's welcome our guests. We have first up, I'm going by how my screen looks. And this is Marquita Pero is right up under me. Welcome.
Hello, everybody.
And you froze a little bit, but we did hear you say hello. Just so you know. Oh, she's still frozen. Uh-oh. And then next.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, but your image has frozen.
Oh.
Next up, we have Miss Shania Hammond. Welcome.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
And then I didn't say hey to my other co-host. Welcome, and look at Sandra looking up. Like that hair. And then we have right up under Sandra, Miss Ebony Radcliffe.
Hey, everyone.
So, y'all, we are going to have a blast tonight. I just feel excited about this topic of how we see God. And so something that I had made note of, and then we're just going to dive in. How we see God. Many of us began knowing God through the lenses of others. You know how sometimes it's been like, oh, I was living on my mama's testimony or my daddy's testimony or grandma's thing or whatever that looks like. So we may have begun to see God through Sunday school, through a class, through someone that knew God that would tell us about God. And through that lens, some of us dislike because of how others have demonstrated God to them. So some people dislike God based on the examples that they've seen from others and people calling it God. We've had some people that disbelieve God because of traumas that have occurred in their life, or they've been betrayed severely by people in the church. And that has caused them to disbelieve God or not be with God any longer. And to our viewing audience, if you are one of those people, we really want to hear from you tonight. We are even up to doing topics that make us nervous. We're not running from anything. We want to be an informative broadcast show. And so this is one of those topics of how we see God. So to my panel, who wants to go? How do you see God? Or how did you start out seeing God versus how you see him now? Shania, I saw your mouth move first. Were you getting ready to say something?
I said anybody. No, I was just thinking on it a second.
Okay.
I thought Maggie was going.
Yeah. So, growing up in a in a Christian household where we had morning devotions every single day at 4:30 a.m. And we got oiled up and prayed up, and every time the church door opened, we were in. I saw God like, my God, this is what it requires to be a Christian. I saw that thing that, and even though I loved going to church because my friends were at church, it was, excuse me, at first I saw him like this deity that you could never reach, right? Because it's like, man, every single thing is a sin. Because it was such a sin conscience, right? It was always sin-centered, presented like you're going to hell. Everything is just sin, sin, sin. And so the first shaping of how I saw God was like this punisher that just want me to waiting for me to mess up so he could just jam me in my soul. But once I grew up, and especially after experience some really hard things, I started to see God as my restorer, and I started to see him as the lifter of my bowed down head. And he healed me through a lot of trauma. And so now I see God as not only the God that sits high and look low, but I see him as a friend. I see him as the lover of my soul. I see him as my champion. And I know for a fact that he loves me because I've experienced it through trials, through the people that he has placed in my life, through the path that I've walked, and even when I've messed up, the restoration. And so that's how I see God.
That is awesome, awesome, awesome. And we're going to circle back to that. Anyone else?
How I see God, I see him as everything. He's everything that I need. He's my healer. He's my provider. He's my friend. He's my father. I see him as being a father. How I see him as being stern. He's not going to play with me. He's not going to let me slack. When I see him as a friend, he's someone I could talk to, I can confide in, I could cry to. I see him even as a friend and a father. He's loving, he's caring. He cares about me. He cares about my life. He cares about what I'm going through. I just see him as everything that I need. If I'm lacking, if I'm weak, he's my strength.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't have what I need, he will make sure that I get it some way, somehow.
Oh,
When I didn't have money to put in my gas tank, he made sure I had gas. I didn't go without gas, but I didn't have money for gas. Like,
mm-hmm.
it was only God. Only God can do it.
That is awesome.
Like, I just see him as everything in my life. And he's everything to me. Everything that I need, I could turn to God because he's my provider. He's my way maker. Yeah, I just see him as everything. Literally. My doctor.
Yes. Oh, yes. We see him as your doctor for you.
Yeah.
But you gave a great breakdown. And then I'm going to say this, and I also want to go back to Magdalene. When you said you see him as your father, and then you began to explain that, because I was going to say, what does that look like in seeing him as a father? But you were even saying, like, when he needs to get stern, he will get stern with you. You see him as loving and all of those things. So
yes,
that is awesome. You see him being the ultimate parent
Mm-hmm.
in your life. And so that is so beautiful.
Yes.
It's beautiful. Yes, Marquita, you're moving now. Yay.
Okay.
And Magdalene, when you were saying about the growing up and you guys are being anointed with oil every day and the prayer and all of that, but then you said during that part of your life, you were seeing God as like, well, if I mess up, he's just going to be so mad, or getting the beat down and whatever. Is there something that occurred, or were you just led to believe that way when you had those thoughts of him? You're muted.
So I don't know if you ever experienced Caribbean Christianity, but Jesus, Lord of promises, man. Everything you're going to hell for, you know. Every single thing. Excuse me, you go into hell.
Okay.
And so they and there's like when my one of my sisters had get pregnant, and the people them were told to not like embrace like the child or whatever because my sister was not married.
Oh, wow. So the child had to be punished, even though the child had nothing to do with it.
It was like, because then what they say, like, you condone, you know, you what's the word they use? I can't remember the word they use, but it's like you making it acceptable to have out of wedlock children.
Mhm.
And
Wow.
so, yeah.
Yeah, we messed that up a lot in the United States as well. Making the child suffer. The child had nothing to do with nothing. Nothing. And so I don't think, even if people still are practicing in that way, making the child suffer for it, that's the wrong way. So I get how you would get that image. Yes.
But it's always the girl though, you know.
Yeah.
So we had to, the girls, you didn't even want to be a girl in our family. We were the ones. Remember, I'm from the Caribbean, and Sandra could tell you how hot it is there. We went to school with long sleeve shirt and skirts past our knees. So when I say when I grow up, and when they had fun day, we were in church dresses and stuff. And I say when I grow up, I'm not wearing dress or skirt for no reason. So that's why I had over 150 pairs of jeans. I didn't have a jean pants, you know, ever. So that's why I had 100. Well, I don't have 150 pairs of jeans now. I only have about 45. But that's that. I digress. The whole thing is all of that trauma created actions and habits as an adult. So, and then I meet a person like Apostle Goins and Apostle Cat, and then those people show me that all of that stuff isn't actually like God. That was somebody trying to keep us in control. And so that's how I start to actually know God in a different way. The way I know him now, I say, how can I attest to God being faithful if I don't have instances of needing his faithfulness? How can I attest to him being a provider if I don't have instances of him needing to provide for me? How can I attest of him being a healer if I've never had any instances of needing the healing? And so now I can attest to how good God is because I have evidence. So it's not the pastor preaching or my mom telling me how good God is every day when she put oil on me, but I have experienced the goodness of God. And so that's how I got to know him for myself in the wilderness.
That's
Amen.
good.
Yeah. Who's next? Thank you.
So next. How I saw God then versus how I see God now. So when I was growing up, we went to church all the time. My mom made sure we stayed in church. I knew there was a God, but I didn't know God. I just knew the name God. So I didn't, um, but I always heard him because I would sit in church and I would hear things and they would ring loud in my ear, but I didn't know it was God.
Mm.
So I fast forward. I know him as a redeemer because I always have this visual of him extending his hand to me and pulling me out of this bottomless pit, the life I was in. And so he's definitely a redeemer. Even when Ebony was saying he's my everything, I have to be very transparent. I don't know him as my everything, but I'm learning him, learning
That's cool.
how to let him be my everything.
Mhm.
So I don't repeat the cycle of knowing there's a God because everybody said God, 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 or he's your everything, he's your everything, he's your everything. Well, now I break it down in sections and be like, okay, God, what does that mean? What is, show me what that looks like. I really, really want to understand what that means. I know him as a counselor because I talk to him about everything or a lot of things. You can say everything, but I do know him as a counselor. I know him as a father because there's a moment in my life where my stepdad's word was golden. And so he gave me the visual of, how you trusted your stepdad, who's no longer here. Trust me like that. Because I
Mm.
knew he wouldn't guide me wrong. I could tell him anything. I could be like, I could call and ask for directions, and I'd be like, I'm on the freeway and the 7-Eleven is on my right. And he could tell me, I didn't know where I was, but he could tell me how to get back home into safety and out of what I unfamiliar. And so God showed me that's how I'm your father. And so I'm learning how to let him be my everything.
That is so beautiful. And girl, listen, the one thing I love about us on this panel, we will be transparent, even if the transparency is about to sound like it's not going to measure up. But girl, you measure up because the fact that you are even saying, I don't know him yet is my everything. But I tell you what, I know a lot about him and a lot of things. That's basically what you said. And Ebony wasn't making hers up. You can tell that Ebony meant that thing. He is my everything. And she has, you could say it's a tried and tested life with her, just like it's a tried and tested life with you. Shania, one of the things I enjoy hearing about you and your relationship with God is your struggle. I'll be like, listen, God, I don't even understand what she said. So I'm going to go to class with you tomorrow with my notebook, and we are going to sit down and talk this out. You're not afraid to do that with him, and he's not afraid to teach you. So that is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. You keep being authentic in that. I like that you don't adjust your life to make it flow with everybody else. Because guess what? It's still flowing. It still flows. So I love it. I love it. All right, Marquita.
Okay. Well, mine is written down because I had spent time with the Lord this morning and talking with him. Talking with him, it's better for me to write it down than to just it.
That's fine.
I see God as my father that I never got on earth. I had a dad, but not a father. I didn't know much about him growing up. There was never conversations, no outings. I didn't have a relationship with him. I saw other children experience, even now, the father that I never got. I couldn't look to him. I never received love from my dad, or at least felt love by him. I didn't know what love was, which led me to go out into the world and find love in any kind of way. I think that's when abandonment and rejection came from in my life. I had let that fall into the relationship I had with my children, because I was never received love or given love by both parents. So I would go out and find love from anywhere, mostly men. That's where I grew up as a tomboy. So being a tomboy always led me out to men and thinking how basically how that's how you're supposed to be loved or feel loved.
Mm-hmm.
Further on, I see God as my father now more than just my God. The reason I say it is because in the world, I was sinning and get into trouble. I would only go to God when I would pray for small stuff. I'm trying to get it out, guys. Sorry, without crying.
Oh, you can cry.
I would only go to God.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I would only go to God if I was in trouble or if I would do something wrong. That's the only time I would talk to him. I was always talking but never listening, and then just going about my day. Now I found a father in God. Though I've never seen him in natural form, he shows up. My father is my protector, and God has been protecting me since day one. God knows who I am. As a father, they are designed to know who their child is. Though some choose not to or don't want to know their child. But God disciplines me when I'm wrong, provides me with what I need, even though I have my wants. I've been to him as a father, even though he already knows what I'm coming to him about. I go to him now more just than what I've done wrong. I go to him for other people. It's been more thank you, Father, than forgive me, Father. I do more listening than just talking. I see God as my father because I look up to him. Literally, guys, I look up to him at the ceiling, at the sky, and just talk to him. In my heart, all I want to do is to please him, to do the right thing, and to not fail him. As a father, you protect, guide, teach, discipline, watch over, trust, believe in, and love, and provide. God is all that I see in a father. And if it's okay, I wrote a little miniature poem to go at the end of it. If it's okay to share, it's not a big one.
Go ahead. You got 3 yeses from the co-hosts and the panel.
Okay. A father will never leave you, but lead you. A father will never control you, but mold you. A father will never abort you, but adopt you. A father will never hurt you, but sees you. A father values what he has, secures it with love. Tell you when you're wrong, fight for you when push comes to shove. A father speaks firm, strong. He means what he say. The lesson he teaches you, he takes it day by day. A father will talk to you, not at you. A father remains calm when you have an attitude. A father gives peace, understands you because he knows you. I see God as my father. My prayer is that you do too.
Girl, wait a minute.
That's beautiful.
Indeed. You know, it hit the whole poem is beautiful. Just your story in general. I'm glad you wrote it down, and that's okay when we have to write things down so that we get. In fact, I encourage people sometimes write down what you want to say, even when you're going to have a meeting with someone, so you don't lose any of your thoughts. So that was so beautiful. When you said a father talks to you and not at you. Wow. Because the conversation may already be comfortable, but that means I'm not going to walk away with an identity crisis. I'm not going to walk away saying, what's wrong with me? All of those things, because he spoke to me and not at me. I like that. Ah, so beautiful. You're welcome. Miss Sandra, would you like to go?
After that, no.
Right?
That was really good. That was really,
And what
really.
she said.
What's that?
Be like what she said.
Yeah. That was good. That was really good. How I see God, it's funny. Even though we named the topic on Tuesday, thank you. Even though we named the topic, I was like, oh, why did I say that, God? But anyway, I think for me, how I see God is I always knew he was there, because you said before, I always knew he was there. I never had the concept of, like, I knew there was a God. Didn't know the God that I know now, but I always knew there was a God. So that always, I guess, brought me happiness. Hey, there's a God up in the sky, and he's doing his thing while we are doing our thing down here. You know what I'm saying? I know he always was watching us. I knew that he was always I don't know, guiding us or leading us. So as a child, I always knew that. So I think when I found out really that God was not just a God in the sky, is like everybody, when I got saved. So when I got saved, I think even though I had a dad, God gave me the name to call him Daddy. So I would always call him Daddy, but never understood why I called him Daddy. I just know that he was Daddy, and I just knew that this Daddy was different compared to my daddy, but never compared them. In my mind, I never compared them, because to me, it felt like if I compare them, there will always be something lacking from the other dad, if that makes any sense, because I know this God couldn't be compared to anything, because hey, he living in the sky, so therefore he was different. So I grew up. My relationship with God started with me calling him Daddy, but there was another part of me that knew that even though I call him Daddy, he wasn't the type of daddy that basically hurts you or abuse you or do anything with you. So for me, he was just this I don't know, this loving God, this caring person. It didn't matter if you were, let me just say, it didn't matter what you were going through in life. I just knew that for me, he was there. He didn't have to fix anything. I don't know. It was just for me, just the word daddy or calling him, I don't know. It was just it was for me. it was a weird, I call it weird relationship, and weird in a sense where I could not compare him to anything. I just knew he was God, and he was daddy. And to me at that moment, that was enough. Because even though I go on with my life, and then I, of course, as time went by and you start reading your word, you see all of these names, but those names never impressed me. I just knew he was my dad. That's all I knew. And it didn't matter how people say, there's word like, Alpha, Omega, beginning, the end, all those great names. But to me, he was just, didn't have to say anything, didn't have to do it. I don't know. There was, to me, it's just this, there is this security. But like I said, as I started growing, now when I see him like, most people say brag about your dad. I see God as this, just this great God that is loving and kind. But I also see him just like this person that can just click his finger and then everything is gone. It's gone. There's nothing existing. There is nothing, like sometimes for me, when the wind blow, I'm like, oh, that's him. But even with the wind, I don't know. I just see him with all this. There's this power that he has, but it's also constrained. There is like, my dad can do anything, but yet constrained. But is a gentle. You ever get up and the wind just blew, but it's a soft blow? To me, God is like that. It's like, hey, I'm here. I can do what I want to do, but guess what? I don't have to. I constrain myself. But yet, with all that power, all that might, all that beautiful adoration, and all these things that he gets, he's so humble. He's so humble, but loving and kind. And I don't know. Sometimes I can't put it in word, because it's like he can float if he wants to, but yet he chooses not to. He can come through the door if he wants to, but he's so humble and he's so meek that he's like, you know what? No, I ain't even going to do that. I'm not going to flex like that. I'm just going to be this gentle. It's I don't know. It's like God to me, like bubbles. Like bubbles flowing. To me, that's how I see him. All powerful, but yet just gentle. He's just this gentle giant, loving, kind, but yet that he restrains, because with that restraint,
We still live.
Yeah. So that's how I see Daddy. Yes.
Oh, these are so beautiful.
Yeah.
These are so beautiful.
Yep. Now it's you.
Yep. Mine started, like, I've always grew up in church, and I have always loved going to church. What I didn't know was how a relationship was required in order to get the fullness of what we needed out of God. You couldn't just going to church was not relationship with God. I didn't know that then. I know that now. It's a part of what we do, but it is not the number one. You have to have a relationship with him. And I didn't know that till later in life. But I always saw God as bigger than the biggest, sitting on the throne with pure white hair and a pure white beard. And it was like a shocking white because it was so pure. And believe it or not, at 59, it is still the image I have of him, but it's not a scary image. And the only reason I think I even have that I guess you would say a natural image of him is when I read about his eyes going to and fro in the earth. I'm like, wait a minute, you a spirit. How your eyes going to and fro? How your face against the wicked? And so he was saying it like that, though, for us to understand. But I didn't know that the first time I read it. So I just made an image of who he is in my head. Sometimes when I'm struggling, that's the God I see. The larger than life God that is sitting on everything about his hand is huge. The Hulk does not even compare to the size that God is in my head as the image that's living in heaven. And so that's how things were starting out, not knowing the importance of relationship. So I used to see God as an afterthought because I didn't know the importance of him being the thought. And I saw him as somebody who picked me last on the team, but he only picked me because I was the last one to pick for the team. But I based that on how I was being treated growing up by other people. And at having that season of being bullied and then the sickness going on in my body from age 10 on now, it's like, well, you have to be an afterthought because I surely was an afterthought when you put me together. And so that he's still even healing now, that the brokenness of the love he has toward me. There's still some cracks in how I believe that he sees me. So he's healed a lot of it, but there's still some cracks there. At the age of 18, I love this lady. She is for real with the Lord. You know, we put everybody in heaven, but everybody ain't in heaven. But Sister Gertrude Brewer, she is in heaven. And she used to teach the young adult Sunday school class. I grew up with Sunday school class from the day that I got here. However old I was to start going to Sunday school, I went to Sunday school. So I've learned so much in Sunday school, but as a young adult attending her class, she played a pivotal part in turning on the off switches inside of me in the spirit of going after God. And it wouldn't be like chasing a man that you like. I didn't have the full understanding of it then, but it was starting to unfold. And when I heard her say, God is personable, what I heard was, God is not just the God of the masses. He's the God of Kathleen Sargent and Kathleen alone. That's how personal it is. Yes, you're talking about the same God, but he's mine. He can be so much mine that I won't even know that I'm sharing him. That's just how good he is. Girl, you don't even know that you know that I'm their God, but you don't know that they can think about me the same way you're doing right now. There's so much of me to go around. You don't have to feel lack in that. And so that's how my journey began and how I see God. And I've always been that girl since getting to know God, that whether I've ever seen you do it or not, I know you can. I know you can. That's where my faith messes me up too. But I know you can. Then I just be sitting there like, so when you gonna? Because I know you can. I don't have to see something to know that God can do it. I just know that God can do it because he's God. So that's how I began seeing God. Yeah. Let's see here. I have a question. What encounters in your life started a better perspective of how you see God in a better light, if you will? Has something occurred that literally shifted? It's like that lady, the lady with the oil in the famine time, and Elijah was like, make me a cake. And now she making cake every single day. The oil did not increase. The meal did not increase. So it always looked like it was the last cake. I preached them. This was my first message I preached as the pastor of a refuge in the city when it was launched. And I showed that example that he didn't increase the oil or the meal. It stayed the same. So every day she looking at, this going to be the last one. This going to be the last one. This going to be the, and she was sustained through the famine. It wasn't until her son died that she said, now I believe that you are a man of God. Have you ever had that moment like, yeah, I know God believes, but it's something that he did in your life? You're like, now I sure enough know you my God and I'm your girl. Have you ever had one of those? All right, Magdalene, I saw your head going first, so you go first.
So, December 31st, 2011, I get a word. The Lord said, your former and your latter rain gonna meet for perpetual income. And the Lord said something else. It was like a whole prophetic word. And I said, I received the word. And then I get in an accident. Because I was like, I received the word, but I'm gonna like drive home. I'm trying to figure out how is the word gonna come to pass and what that even means. Right? So but I believe in the word. And when I tell you things start happening at work, they didn't change my hours, they didn't change my location, they didn't put me in a place with these people who don't believe in obeying the law. And I'm telling them, y'all breaking the law. And so now I'm getting less hours. I got a mortgage. I got a daughter in college. I got a truck. No, I paid off my truck. So I have these bills. And then they start punishing me by like less hours. It was just like a whole lot of retaliation, right? And so now I'm driving to school a different way because I don't work in the same place anymore. And I'm the third car, which is a phenomenon in itself, because usually when people run the light, it's before the first car, like as soon as the light turned green, there's a lot of people that still go before, but I was the third car. So the first and the second car go, then me, boom, I get T-boned. And then I ain't work. The losses start piling up, right? And then God is keeping me fed. Like I have no money coming in. I use up all my savings. I lose the house. They kept me in the house for a year and a half. Now I'm done with my savings. I'm in a shelter. And then they put me in a veteran house. I'm believing God. And I signed up for like Section 8 because they said, oh, the list open. I signed up for Section 8. A week later, Section 8 called me. I got Section 8. Okay. So now I get my own apartment. Then I go to the Social Security. I go to sign up for disability or something. I got that. The lady signed that thing while I was right there. I got my first check later. Then the military said, and I have the paper here, They gave me 100% total and permanent disability in the meeting. And the way they wrote it out, they said, we will revisit this no more. So when he said your former reign, my military money, because your latter reign, Social Security, I'm not supposed to get Social Security. So my former and latter reign met up for perpetual income. That word came to pass 2016, the whole thing came. 5 years of struggle, but believe in God. And when I didn't have enough money to buy groceries, he told me where to go, and I got all of the groceries for what money I had. Jesus, God is good.
Amen. Yeah, that's a now I know. Who's next? I see Sandra going for hers.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. That was good, Maggie. That was really, really good. I think when yeah, when I first came into this country, I got to know God. I did. Even though I really did, because it put me in a space where I basically had nothing, no one. It was just me. It was just me, myself, and I. So I think for me, that, that's how I really think that it became an eye opener, because I had nobody to lean on but God. There was nothing. There was not like just him and I. They say, walking and talking, telling him all my troubles. Yeah. So yeah, yeah. That was Yep. And here we are. We still doing the same. So that's it for me. Yeah.
All right. That's good. That's good. Anybody else? Oh, go
I
ahead.
think for me, can you ask the question again? Because I want to make sure I'm answering it correctly.
When was the moment in your life, it can be way back or as recent, but a moment in your life when you know that God is God and he is God for you?
Okay. So I would say maybe back in 2023 is when I really experienced God, like for myself, like, cause like before then I thought I knew God, but I didn't really know God. Well, you couldn't tell me I wasn't going to heaven. That's how I thought I knew God. No, not the life I was living. So when I was like in the middle of the hospital bed, and there was peace. Like I felt peace. I felt nothing but peace. And I'm just in the hospital bed, not even realizing like the state that I was in, with my health, and the doctors doing all that they're doing for me. But like I just had peace. I wasn't scared. There was just peace. So I just knew like it was nobody but God. It was nobody but God that even kept me. When I dealt with the heartbreak, and even getting through that, it was nobody but God. I felt God. I knew God was real, because the route that I was going, even like through the heartbreak, going to clubs and going to after hours and just drinking, and God was like, no, why don't you go to church? Just try going to church. I went to church and I was falling asleep during church service. So, but he didn't even just looking back, he didn't judge me. He stayed with me. Even though I'm in church and I'm falling asleep.
Mhm.
I'm coming to church after a long night in the club. But he didn't judge me. He still stayed with me. He's just like, he was just like a welcoming, like a warm welcoming, like, you know?
Mhm.
He didn't turn away from me because of my sin.
I like it.
So I think that's like when I really experienced God for myself. And then just even being at Refuge, I experienced him on a whole nother level. On a level that I didn't even know that you can experience him on, you know?
Mhm.
And then, like Marquita said, like, or Shania, like, I'm still learning too. I'm still growing in God.
Mhm.
There's still so much to even learn about God.
Yes. That's beautiful. Beautiful. Mine would go back to age 23 when I was really struggling. I was more of the black sheep of the family. I was the weirdest in the family, as people would choose that word. And I was like isolated, but it was just the person that I was. But I also felt very unloved, and I was battling violent depression. I wasn't just depressed, I was violently depressed. And I would literally try to get someone to fight me just so I could fight them to get the violence off. Yeah, it is crazy. So that particular day, I wanted to commit suicide. And I was like, dude, nobody's going to miss me. So this is the last ditch effort. I be hearing all these people saying, I told God, if you're real, do this. I said, so I'm going to do one of them, because there's got to be more to life than this. If this is what my life is, let's go. And many of you have heard me say my shower was broken, and it had this drip, and it was like a loud drip. Because one, I lived in a very old but beautiful apartment, and it had hardwood floors. And so, you know, when you don't have carpet, everything is louder than the regular loud. And I got down on my knees at that time. And y'all know I've had arthritis since I was 10. So this was serious. I was on my knees. And I was like, listen, do you really love me? Like, you love me, Kathleen Sargent, not because of my daddy, my mama, my sisters, brother, all of that stuff. Do you love me for me, just like I am? I want to be closer to you. I know I'm still on the fence, but this thing is too much. So if you really love me, I need you to fix my shower. And I'll wait, but I'm not going to wait a long time, because what I also know about you, it don't take you a long, it take people a long time, which makes it looks like you take a long time. But we the one taking a long time. But this one is just you and me. So that won't take a long time. And when he made that shower stop dripping, I could not stop crying. I lived in that apartment for 9 years and never called the maintenance man, because God fixed the shower. That was my turning point. Who's next?
Okay, I'll go. So I had a dream. I don't remember what year it was. I had a dream and I saw my deliverance. I had a dream. It was very vivid. I had never been to this church before. It had to have been on a Tuesday, because I woke up, went to regular Bible study at my church, And the first lady was like, "Oh, my brother having a revival for 3 days. We're gonna go around there." And it happened to be the church I dreamt about myself being delivered in.
Mm.
And so I went in there. I was like, "Oh, this is where I saw myself being delivered." But I really didn't understand what deliverance was. So I went in there. She said they having a 3-night revival. We're gonna go. I went in there the Wednesday night. I sat exactly where I saw myself in the dream. Sat down. I was like, okay, this is what I saw in my dream. Went through the whole revival, heard the message. He was preaching good. Went home. God was like, girl, you don't run nothing. So went back the same night. Went back the second night, sat exactly where I was in my dream. I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting to experience what I saw. Second night, giving a good word. People in there experiencing God. Shania still went home the same way. So the third night, I just went in there. At this point, I just sat anywhere. This guy put me like, you don't run out. Look, I got it. Like, and so that night, like what I dreamed actually came to pass. I knew it was God, how he talks to me in my dream. This is nothing but God. I didn't tell nobody the dream. Pastor called me up there. He was like, young lady, I don't know who you are. And, he began to speak a word and prophesying, and it just came to pass, the whole entire dream. So that's how I experienced God and just knew.
Wow. Beautiful. All right, Marquita, you're on.
Save the best for last. No. Right. I had stated how I only talk to God when I used to talk to God when I'm in trouble. This is one of those while I was in trouble. I had got into a relationship with a young lady that I knew I was not supposed to be in. And I got married. And so one night I had a panic attack that literally scared me to where the thoughts came to me to where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm about to die. You about to take me now? I'm not ready. Let me get ready. Okay.
She said, let me get ready.
But let me get out of this relationship first before you take me. For real. Let me get out of this relationship.
No, you did. I know you did.
So I'm like, if you get me out of this relationship, I'll get it right. I'm going to go. Please answer my prayer because we both know this ain't right. I did it out of disobedience. I was told not to do it and I did it anyways. So if you help me get out of this, I'm done. I'm done with women. I'm done, period. I'm going to go do what I'm supposed to do. So I didn't think he heard me because before I didn't ask him to help me get out of certain situations. I didn't get out of it right then. But this one was different because the next day we had an argument and it was so bad to where she walked out and I was like, that was fast. I mean, this is what I wanted, but that was fast. I didn't know you was going to answer tomorrow. I meant like, just give me a couple of days. Oh. But then I knew at that moment, I was like, okay, God, you really do answer my prayers. You really do hear me when I say that I need help. And when I need you, you're always there for me.
I love it. She like, wait. I wasn't ready to like, oh, we're going to stop now. Okay.
She said, I thought I was going to have a couple days.
Right.
I did. Couple days with it,
Yes.
But rent was coming up. So me thinking rent was coming up, I needed help with the rent.
That is so
He
funny.
said, no.
That is
She
so
getting out today.
I love it. I love it. Well, y'all, listen. I know many of you have enjoyed this broadcast because I enjoyed it. And you've heard some stories. You've heard at least 6 stories of how we see God, how we may have started off seeing him and how we've ended up seeing him and what we're seeing him look like now in our lives. We hope that this has been a blessing for you. Maybe somewhere down the road, we'll come back and do a part 2 because life continues to change. Therefore, we continue to see God in a different light. How about that? Hey, y'all, we love you. And there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Bye.
Oh.